Okay, I think it's recording. Hi guys, I am here on my new camera, still kind of figuring it out, so I hope that this will have good sound and all that. I'm not sure how I feel about this camera yet, but I am not doing YouTube videos for the next 2 weeks on the regular channel, but I still wanted to do the Patreon exclusive that I promised you guys because you voted for, I think there was like 5 topics, and the top one was working with other people. So I worked with like cover designers, editors, character artists, book boxes, Instagram, PR tours. I worked with a candle maker. You can work with people who do swag like bookmarks, and I don't know what else. You can even include the tax guy in all of this. So I'm pretty sure there's more that I'm not thinking of, but you get the idea. Just basically, you guys wanted to know kind of the ins and outs of hiring other people to help you and like what to expect and what to do. And I might share some stories, some horror stories, because it can go well and it can go really badly. You're depending on another person. So let's see, where should I start? I'm gonna just start with, there are some things that are 100% out of your control. When you hire another person, you're giving up control. And usually if you're an indie author, it's in large part because you want control. You've decided you want to decide things. And so it can be very hard to give up control. But I do think it's really valuable, especially in certain instances when you just don't have the skill to do something. So all of these things that I talked about, like, you don't have to hire somebody, but there are 2 specific things where I think it's really important to, and that's cover design and editors. Because number one, the cover design, you guys probably, most of you know this, but it's so crucial to selling a book well, is getting that cover right. And if you're a writer, typically, honestly, we just don't have the knowledge and the skill set to design a cover that speaks to a genre and is super like good at selling your book. It's just not usually in our skill set. And I know, like, I'm pretty artistic, so yes, I could technically make it up and figure out a cover, but I think that it's really, really smart to hire somebody who is literally a professional and will make your book sell better. And I talk about that a lot in the How Your Book Sells Itself, which, you know, I don't want to repeat myself, and you guys probably already know this. And I want to do a video on cover design, so it's like its whole topic all by itself. But I will just say, if you're going to hire, cover designers and editors are probably the top 2 that will get you your money back, because it's going to make your book sell better. For the editor portion, they're going to make your book more professional as well. If we don't have an editor, typically the book won't do well. I'm just gonna leave it at that, because again, that's like a whole video by itself. But for these other things like character art and swag and whatnot, I would actually, on the flip side, caution you to be very careful before you purchase it, because as authors, we really, really like to do all these fun things, all the swag, and I would do it all if I could, but my hubby's really good about asking me, what is the ROI on that? So the return on investment. So if I buy character art, how is that going to return the money to me? Does that make sense? It's like, it won't, it really won't. So in that case, I just did it for fun and to support a friend who's really good. But usually I will ask, like with the book box, for example, what is the return on investment? I am not going under, like they're paying me and I made money on that. But even if I was to break even, the return on investment would be that you'd have, in my case, I sold 700 copies to the book box, so that's 700 people who could potentially leave a review. Sorry guys, I'm losing my voice, it's allergy season. Excuse me. People who could leave a review, 700 people who could go on to buy the next 3 books in the series, and potentially all the other books that I write in the future, or my past books. So the return on investment it's less, I want to say calculable. I don't know my math words, but it's less easily calculated, but you can see how there's huge return on investment there, because not all 700 people are going to go on and buy all the other books, but a good chunk might. And so that's an example of return on investment. So that was a bit of a tangent on how things are out of your control, but the reason that I bring it up is because, like, family emergencies can happen, life can happen, things go wrong, and it's surprising how often things go wrong. So just to give you an example, I've done the cover design with 8 little pages for Evelyn's Number, Pearl's Number, and then all 4 books in the fantasy series. I had a really bad experience with them, and for whatever reason I decided let's give them another shot, and it was a bad experience again. And so I won't go into the details, but basically there was always a family emergency. There was always something going wrong. They missed their deadlines every single time by about a month, which is crazy, and we'll talk about that whole thing in a second. But basically, just expect the unexpected when you're working with other people. That's number 1. Number 2, it's out of your control. Number 3, you will find that things go wrong more often than not. So it's actually good to just kind of plan for things to go wrong, not in like a negative way, but more of a, if you're adjusting your expectations, it won't throw you off course as much. If you're almost expecting little curveballs to happen, then you'll just kind of roll with it when they do, and you'll be especially happy when they don't. But the 4th thing that I wanted to talk about is how do I say this? It's really wise to not tell them your deadlines, no matter what it is. Editors, cover designers, swag people, whatever. Usually when you hire somebody, you're having them do it on a deadline, and you have a certain purpose for it. Like maybe you're doing an event, or you're doing a cover reveal if it's the cover design. So like I said a second ago, my cover designer was horrible with deadlines. Like I'm talking a month late, and it really threw off my plans pretty much every single time. But I've actually had that experience with a lot of other people too. Not most of my editors, only one of my editors was a little slower, I believe. My editors have been usually pretty on time because they're more professional usually. But I had the candle maker who was, oh my gosh, I want to say 2 months late, and she did that to other people too. And it was just a horrible, horrible experience. I was like, how did someone else recommend this person to me? She's horrible. You get what you pay for. And again, I learned so much more from the editor who I paid a lot for. And I just think that, again, like I said at the beginning of this video, if you are going to invest in anything, it's so important to invest in good cover design and a good editor. Those 2 things, like, you don't really need anything else. You could get by and seriously not, well, maybe a formatter if you're not good at formatting, but we'll talk about that in a second too. I so advise you to get a good cover designer and a good editor, because the cover design will obviously sell the books for you and sell way more books than you could if you tried to design your own cover. And then the editor will make you a better writer. And that in the long run is really gonna aid you, because the better that you get in writing, the more books you sell as well. So that's a penny here. All that to say, like, there's other things like formatting and, I don't know, like maps and all that stuff that you could hire for. And if you're not, like, if you don't feel confident in an area or it stresses you out, I would definitely say, like, try to budget for those things so you don't have to do them. But if you can do them, like I did my own map, I do my own formatting, and I don't think that those hinder you as long as you put the time in to learn how to do it well. But when it comes to, again, cover design and editors, those are just 2 things that I really do think you need to work with somebody on. And it's so helpful to your career as an indie author, and so valuable to your book and book sales. So I won't go into that anymore, but I'll just talk really quick about book boxes, PR companies, other random products and swag, and like little tips for that. And I think I even have tax guys on here. Okay. The book box. I don't know how common this is, so I don't know if it's worth talking about a lot, but I just think that in certain instances, like working with a company who's promoting you, I would never recommend to like pay them. I would never recommend that. I always think it's really important to not be in the red as an indie author if you can. But when it comes, I'm like trying to figure out how to say this. When it comes to, oh my gosh, I can't find the words right now. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, even if I hadn't made money in the book box, I would have done it anyway. And I know I kind of talked numbers already, but like, that's 700 readers who could go on to read all the next 3 books and leave reviews and all that stuff. So the ROI is is still there, even if I didn't make money from that specific thing. But if you can make money from it, awesome. I think it's really smart to just weigh the balances and say to yourself, no matter what you hire, like, will this bring money back in? What is the ROI? Is this going to benefit me in the long term as well? Like with the book box, maybe it doesn't benefit you, maybe you break even, but you benefit later on by those other readers like I was talking about. So I don't know. I hope that makes sense. That one is just a little harder for me to wrap my mind around and explain well. But the same thing applies to the PR companies. So I did an Instagram tour, which is like a PR company who they like contacted all the bloggers and they had me send them my book, and then they just like put it all together for me and I didn't have to do anything. And so the ROI on that, again, is really tricky to figure out because I had book sales all throughout, but I don't know for sure if they attributed to those particular Instagram posts. So for example, like I tracked it and I noticed like accounts on Instagram with like 10K followers, I would sell like 15 books that day, while an account with like 80 followers, not 80 followers, 80,000 followers, I would sell maybe only 3 books that day. And so again, I didn't know if it attributed to what I was doing. I was kind of trying not to do too much so that I could kind of watch and track what their actions did for me. But in the long run, sometimes I guess this is another tip, sometimes you just have to try things and learn from the experience and kind of track it yourself and see if there's good ROI, because I had done a blog tour with Evelyn's Number myself. And so my investment in that was just to send people the books. And I remember I reached out to like 100 people, 10 of them said yes, and I sent out 10 books. And I did not track at that time, because it was like a few years ago, what the investment and the return on investment was. So I don't know. But then with this tour, I paid for the tour as well, but I didn't have to do the work, and I sent out the books. And so I kind of tracked it, and I thought that I barely made my money back. And so in my personal opinion, like in that particular case, I could do a whole video on that. But basically, I feel like I'm so rambly today. I hope that's okay, guys. But basically, I feel like I learned from it. So it was a good experience in learning from it, but I wouldn't do it again. Instead, I would do the tour myself. Like I would reach out to people because sometimes I feel more comfortable putting my time into it than I feel putting my money into it. But in a way, putting your time into something is also like you're spending your time just like you would spend your money. So I guess it depends on where you're at. And I think this is a little bit of a tangent, but why not throw it in here? It would be smart to, I think, spend more time in the beginning of your career than to spend money, because you don't start making money back really quickly. It takes a while for that snowball to get rolling and for your book to start making money. So I don't personally feel comfortable putting a lot of money out. I prefer to spend time, but that's just me. And then when it comes to like the other random products like candles and mugs and character art and swag like bookmarks, gosh, even like business cards or your author website or whatever, all the stuff that I said above and before really applies here, which is to check your references and make sure you've done your research and if it's right for you. And then if you do jump in, I definitely recommend giving them a much earlier deadline. You guys, it's been a crazy, crazy month. I'm editing the Ginny Key again with beta reader feedback. So right now, this week and next week are probably the 2 most stressful. I don't really know. I feel like there's been a lot of stressful weeks in this year, but it feels like this is crunch time and I just don't have time to do the regular YouTube videos. I wanted to be here for you guys and I wanted to give you a good video and still help you. So I hope this makes sense, but please feel free to ask questions and comment below, because just when it comes to working with people, the bottom line is to be professional on your end, even if they're not, to take the time to do your research and make sure you get the best people in the business, because there's a lot of scam artists out there, and just all over the place. In the world, there's scam artists everywhere. And there's people who don't even mean to be scam artists, but maybe they're just not at the talent level that you need. Know that you are building a portfolio and that it takes time to get to know the right people, that you might go through a few bad people, and that's okay, but you're building a portfolio of people that are going to be the best people to work with, and it takes time. And if you need to, you can always ask author friends and get advice, and again, do your research. I keep saying that, but I feel like that's the most important one, because if you take the time to look at the work they've done in the past, you will probably be able to filter out the people you don't want to work with very easily. So take it from me, it's gonna be a process. It's gonna be, there are going to be a few people that you regret working with, but I think you kind of learn from that as well. So I hope this video helped you. I hope it made sense. Thank you for being patient with me as I ramble. Instead, I kind of had notes, but I didn't follow them perfectly, so I hope this video made sense. And I'm gonna sign off now because I gotta go work on the Ginny Key. Just wish me luck, and I hope to come back to you guys next month with a more like edited video on, I think it was release numbers, and how TSK did during release was the second most voted for video. So I will come back with that next month after I turn in the Ginny Key to my editor. Hopefully it would go well. I'm nervous. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. And also we do have a live stream coming up, which I will schedule. I think I have the votes going for a couple more days. And then once like everyone's gotten a chance to vote, I will pick a date. I think there's one that's in the lead right now. So go vote if you haven't already. And we're gonna have fun doing a live stream as well, and just it'll probably be a lot like this where I ramble, but hopefully you guys don't mind. So I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye! By the way, Penny says hi, and you might have noticed that the bookshelf is pretty empty. That's because I have a castle in the corner. So yeah.